بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Last time we spoke about wiping on the turban and wiping on jabira, which is a cover of broken part of the body or a band on a wounded part. Today we will start, inshallah, speaking about ghusl. So ghusl is what we call shower, but in Islam has some specific definition. So the scholars said that ghusl is pouring the clean water on the whole body. So we have two things here, which is clean water and whole body. So you need to just fill or cover the whole body. And you have to pour it, so meaning that the water needs to leave the body as well. The pillars of ghusl, the majority of scholars said that it is just to cover the whole body in water. That's why they consider, for example, if you want to have ghusl and you just jump into a swimming pool, that's a ghusl, because you cover the whole body with water. So what is the reason why we make ghusl? We make ghusl when we want to perform what can't be performed while in the state of janaba. And we are going to speak about what's the meaning of janaba as well. But let's try to use the same words that were mentioned in the Sharia, which is ghusl and janaba. There is a reward, of course, by doing ghusl, and we take reward from Allah Azza wa Jal. Ghusl, which is a shower, can actually be done without covering ourselves, and even in the outside, only if no one is seeing us. So if we are in the out, we can do a ghusl without covering if no one is seeing us, or whoever is allowed to look at us. So the person's wife, or something that was finished early ages in Islam, which is the right hand or the female slaves. So currently the only person that can have shower, as the Prophet ﷺ used to do with Aisha radiallahu anha, so the person can have shower with his or with her spouse only. The Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, protect your private parts except from your wife or right hand. Now we don't have right hand, which are the slaves, so we only protect ourselves except from our wives, or the wives will protect themselves except from their husbands. So what requires ghusl? We call it in Islam large hadath. Hadath is a word that means an event. So hadath is an event. Hadath, it can be large and it can be small. Small hadath we spoke about previously, what breaks the wudu, like the urine or the poo or the passing wind. This is called small hadath. So the large hadath, which what we are going to speak about, is what we call what requires actually the ghusl, while what requires wudu is called small hadath. So ghusl can be done because of the existence of the large hadath. So what is the large hadath? The large hadath is number one, which is the existence of semen. Semen, when it leaves the body, male or female, with desire, awake or sleeping, by thinking or by touching or by intercourse, for dead or alive or animal. Every one of these words is there for a reason. So when we speak about the semen goes out or leaves the body, that's number one. Meaning that if the semen is inside the body, there is no required ghusl. Number two, male or female, it's same for both. Number 3, it has to be with desire. So the desire moves in the body, the semen will go out, and then it requires the ghusl. Awake or sleeping, meaning that it might be done or happening while we are fully controlling or while we are sleeping, what we call the wet dreams. Or by thinking. Sometimes people will think about some desires and the semen will exit the body, and that requires ghusl. Or by touching. So touching the opposite gender, or by intercourse, even if it is with dead person or live person, or even if it is with animal. So all of these are the cases when the semen can exit the body. So what is the semen that we mentioned here? It's a thick liquid, comes out with desire. For women, it's a thin yellow, comes flowing at stages, and the desire stops after it exits the body. The semen is known for its smell. If it is exited the body after ghusl, then we need to repeat the ghusl again. So sometimes residuals of semen stays in the body after the ghusl, then the person needs to go back and do ghusl again. Another terminology, which is madhi. Madhi is a white thin liquid that comes out during some desires moving in the body, and the wadi is a thick white liquid that comes out after urinating or carrying some heavy objects. These two don't require ghusl. The only one that requires the ghusl is the semen. So the semen, when it exits the body, it requires the ghusl. So that's number 1 for the requirement of the ghusl. So long as the person, sometimes the person will wake up from the night and he smells the traces or the smell of the semen on his internal clothes, then he needs to do the ghusl regardless if he remembers that something exited him or not. Sometimes the person will feel that he had a wet dream. He wakes up, he doesn't see anything, then there is no ghusl. Okay? So it all comes to actually seeing the traces of the semen, or what we call in Arabic the mani. The second reason for having ghusl is meeting the opposite private parts. So when the opposite gender private parts meet, that requires ghusl regardless if the intercourse was fully or not, if the semen exited or not. Just for touching the private parts with each other, there should be a ghusl. Inserting of beginning of the private part in a male-female private part with acceptance or by force, waking or sleep. So all of these are conditions to fulfill for the ghusl to happen. So sometimes it's not fully, sometimes it's asleep or it's waking by force or by acceptance. All of these, males or females, all of these are the moment the private parts touch each other, then the ghusl is required. Seeing the semen is not condition for ghusl in this case. So if the private part touches, there is a semen or there is no semen, it's not required. The ghusl needs to be applied. The Prophet ﷺ said, if the two private parts meet, ghusl becomes obligatory. So it's just the reason is the meeting of the private parts. It's nothing about semen. So number 3, for any question, we need Shahid.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to put the chat box up.
Yeah, can you just get me the mic texter or someone? Hassan, can you get me texter, please? Yeah. So anyone has any question, we will put the website so you can actually write down the question over there. The third reason for ghusl is the end of period or nifas. So if there is period for the woman or nafas, and we said the nafas is the blood that comes after delivering a baby, it can go up to 40 days. The Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, if the period comes leave prayers. If it leaves, then make ghusl. So that's an evidence that ghusl is required when the period of the woman leaves. Stopping the blood is condition for the ghusl, and we are going to speak about all of these, some complicated conditions for the women, how to know when the blood stops and so on, so how to actually know exactly when to do the ghusl. Intercourse cannot be done after period except after ghusl. So if the woman finishes her period and the blood stops, that is not allowing actually to have the intercourse. The ghusl needs to be done before actually having the intercourse between the wife and the husband. So that's number 2. Number 3. Number 4 is death of a Muslim except for the martyr. Why? Because the martyr is not going to be having ghusl. So the death of a Muslim, we need to give him a shower. That shower is wajib kifaya or fard kifaya. What's the meaning of fard kifaya? Meaning that if a group of people did it, then the consequences or the sin is not going to be on anyone. So it requires some group to do it. Like for example, Salat al-Jama'ah at the Masjid, it's fard kifaya, meaning if a group did the Salat al-Jama'ah, nobody is going to be held accountable for that. Can you give me Sheikh? I will speak about it again.
Bigger, smaller?
Okay. So just you can Google this and write whatever question. I will answer at the end. So my.cs/Thursday_ fiqh night, yeah? Underscore, yes. So again, if a person died, a Muslim, then we need to have to give a shower for him. Giving shower to a dead body is fard kifaya. We have fard ayn and fard kifaya. Fard ayn is whatever, as we explained at the beginning of the lessons, whatever is obligated on every single one of us. So this is fard ayn. Fard kifaya is however a group does it, it will not be accountable for anyone else. The whole ummah will not be accountable. Like for example, Salat al-Janaza. Salat al-Janaza is fard kifaya, meaning that if a group did Salat al-Janaza on someone, the rest of the Muslims are not accountable. But if someone died without Salat al-Janaza being prayed on him, the whole ummah will be accountable. So, number 5, entering Islam. So if the person entered into Islam, then he needs to do ghusl. The Prophet ﷺ ordered Qais bin Asim to perform ghusl when he became Muslim. So these are the 5 reasons why we do ghusl. So, semen, connection between the private parts, and nafas and period ending, and then death of the Muslim, and entering Islam. Ghusl is always sufficient for wudu, meaning that if I do ghusl, I don't need to make wudu again. The ghusl will cover the wudu. Whenever the Prophet ﷺ took a bath after janaba, and this is how the Prophet ﷺ used to make his ghusl. Now this is the authentic hadith in Bukhari that explains how the Prophet ﷺ used to make his ghusl. Whenever the Prophet ﷺ used to take a bath after janaba, he started by washing his hands, then performed ablution like that for the prayer. After that, he would put his fingers in water and move the root of his hair with them, and then pour 3 handfuls of water over his body, and then pour water all over his body. So that's one of the narrations on how the Prophet ﷺ used to perform the ghusl. In other narrations, there are other more explained narrations. The Prophet ﷺ used first to wash his hands, and then he used to wash his private parts, and then he used to make wudu, and in one narration he will leave his feet to the end, and then he will pour water on his head first, and then he will pour water on his right hand side of the body, and then left hand side of the body, and then wash the feet, and then exit. So that's another narration. Obligatory things in ghusl. Number 1, covering the whole body, including the hair, with water. So we need to cover the whole body. So under each hair there is janaba, as the Prophet ﷺ said, under each hair janaba. So janaba is actually, when we said that the requirements for ghusl are 5, these are the states of janaba. So the person who he exited semen, he is in the state of janaba. When the intercourse happens, both are in the state of janaba. When the woman is in the period or nafas, that's a state of janaba. Undoing the braid is not required for the so long as the water reaches the root of the hair. So for those women who have braids, they don't need to undo the braid so long as the water enters underneath these braids to the root of the hair and at the scalp. There is a hadith of Salama that she asked the Prophet ﷺ to undo her braids, and the Prophet ﷺ said no. You wanted to ask?
Just the females with the braid, or
males as well, so long as the water goes under the hair. Rubbing the scalp until the water reaches under each hair is requirement for the ghusl. So when we pour on our head, we need to rub the scalp to make sure that the water enters everywhere. Number 2 from the obligatory things in ghusl is intention. So this, in a way, it's intention and covering the whole body of water. So if you are, for example, in a swimming pool and you want to do ghusl, you just do the intention and jump in the swimming pool from the other side. You have both ghusl and wudu. You are done. There are some sunnahs of the ghusl. Washing the hands and genitals. As I said, the Prophet ﷺ used to wash his private parts. Wudu, then cover the hidden parts of the body. So when having shower, if you are between people, you should have actually covered. It's not allowed to, but it's a sunnah even if you are alone to cover if you want, but there is no harm if you don't cover. Pouring water on head, then right part of the body, then left part of the body 3 times. Amount of water used, the Prophet ﷺ used to use a sa', what we call in Arabic a sa'. The sa', the scholars said it's around 2 liters, isn't it? It's around 2 liters. 2 liters and something. So imagine the Prophet ﷺ used to have ghusl with 2 liters plus. What is makruh in wudu is actually makruh in ghusl as well. So if we go back and see what was makruh during wudu, like wasting the water, like talking while having the wudu, all of these are makruh as well. It's makruh in ghusl. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you sleep with your wife and wants to sleep again, meaning that having intercourse again, then make wudu, and this is narrated in Muslim. So the Prophet ﷺ, one of the things that he used to do, if he wants to have intercourse more than one time in one night, then he will have wudu between them, and that's a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So even without ghusl, just having wudu. Now if someone is in the state of janaba as we said, he had one of the 5 things that we spoke about. What is haram for him? It is haram for him or her to pray, so they cannot pray. It is haram for him or her to do tawaf. It is haram to touch the Quran, entering the masjid, reciting the Quran by tongue. I'tikaf in the masjid. So, out of these, we can say that can a woman with a janaba actually touch the Quran without direct touching if she is in the state of, for example, janaba, or if she is in the period? Well, the scholars, they said, the majority, yes, you can. For example, with a stick, just move the Quran. Okay, it says here reciting the Quran by tongue. So moving the tongue is not allowed if the person is in the state of janaba. That's why anyone in the state of janaba cannot speak Quran. Can remember Allah Azza wa Jal, but cannot speak Quran. Cannot read verses of the Quran. Okay, can I just watch? Yes, you can. Can I move the Quran on my memory without moving the tongue? Yes, you can. So you cannot move your tongue while you are in the state of janaba reciting the Quran. I'tikaf in the masjid, Allah mentioned in the Quran, إِلَّا عَابِرِي سَبِيلٍ. You cannot enter masjid on the state of janaba except if you are just in your way. At that time, the masjid used to be in the way of people. So you used to enter the masjid from the middle and then exit to the other side. That is, we call عابر سبيل, meaning that he is just in his way. He is maybe traveler or he is going from a place to a place, then that's not a problem. But to sit down in the masjid, if in the state of janaba, that is not allowed. Of course, the scholars, they mentioned that the main reason for that is we don't want the masjid to have some dirt or to be unclean. So we need to keep the cleanliness of the masjid. There are many Sunnah Ghusul types. So the Prophet ﷺ used to make ghusuls in different occasions. So every Friday, the Prophet ﷺ, he used to say in the hadith, the Friday ghusl is wajib on each person. Of course, the scholars said what he means is wajib. If we want wajib for the one who is actually in the state of janaba, it's wajib. But it's mandub or sunnah for Friday prayer to have ghusl and then go to the Friday. During the Eid prayer, the Prophet ﷺ will have ghusl for Eid prayer. Ihram in Hajj, in Umrah, when he wants to stand on Arafat, he will do ghusl. When he wants to enter Mecca, he will do ghusl. When he wants to enter Muzdalifah, he will do ghusl. Visiting Tawaf or farewell Tawaf, he will do ghusl. So the Prophet ﷺ, if you can see, he was doing ghusl a lot. So ghusl actually, and especially in that type of area where it's really hot, people can actually sweat a lot. So the Prophet ﷺ was always keeping clean. Eclipse and istisqa prayer. Eclipse is, we know the eclipse, whether it's a moon or sun eclipse. Istisqa, when there is no rain and we want to make salah for rain to come, the Prophet ﷺ used to make ghusl. Washing dead body, that's a sunnah actually. If you are washing a dead body, to have ghusl after washing that dead body. Istihada. Istihada is another term that we will take in next week, inshallah, when the woman actually finishes her period and the blood continues after the period time. That time, after the period time, is called istihada. It is sunnah to have ghusl from istihada. If someone was drunk or unconscious or lost his brain and then woke up, it is sunnah to have a ghusl for that. For hijama, if someone is doing hijama, it is sunnah to have as well, as the Prophet ﷺ did ghusl after hijama. For the night of Al-Qadr, it is sunnah to have ghusl. So these are types of ghusls the Prophet ﷺ used to make for certain occasions. So this is for the ghusl. Now we jump to another thing, which is, as I said, you can go here and set or put whatever question you want and we will answer them after, inshallah. Some rules for the masjids. It is haram for the junub, nafas, the woman in period, to enter the masjid. So that's something we said before. If someone was in i'tikaf, and we know the i'tikaf is to enter in the masjid with the intention actually to stick there for a period of time. If someone was in i'tikaf and had wet dream, so actually the semen exited his body while he was sleeping, she needs to leave the masjid for a ghusl. They cannot stay in the masjid. They need to leave the masjid. Because we said that in the state of janaba, the person cannot stay in the masjid. You can stay in the masjid without wudu. If you lost your wudu while in the masjid, you can stay, no problems. But with janaba, you cannot. You can actually sleep in the masjid. Ibn Umar was seen many times sleeping in the masjid. But nowadays, people are prevented from sleeping in the masjid for many reasons. It is allowed for non-Muslims to enter the masjid. One of the scholars said it's not allowed, but the majority of the scholars agree that it is allowed for non-Muslims to enter the masjid, and we can use that actually to bring the non-Muslims to enter the masjid and show them about Islam and whatever we want to discuss with them. It is makruh for whoever ate onion or garlic or anything that has smell to enter the masjid, as the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever ate from these two trees should not come to our musalla, to our masjid. So now, for example, we have more than the garlic and the onion. We have, for example, the smoking. We have other, for example, smells that people can smell. It is actually makruh to go to the masjid if the person is smelling. He needs to get rid of the smell of himself.
Point number 2. Do you really need to leave the masjid if the masjid has got a toilet that has got a shower facility?
You can, when we say leave the toilet, leave the masjid, the actual place where you are having i'tikaf, because you are not having i'tikaf in the toilet. Okay, so you are going to go to the toilet to have shower.
So the place of prayer.
Yeah, the place of prayer. It is makruh spitting in the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ said the spitting in the masjid is a sin, and the kafara for it is to bury it, meaning that to remove it. It is haram to urinate in the masjid, do hijama in the masjid. When we say here masjid, we mean the place where people pray. Okay? Not outside in the car park or something like this. Or to do fast. There is a difference between hijama and fast. Hijama is the cupping with blood that is taken out, while fast is actually a scratch in one of the veins that the Prophet ﷺ used to do, and with fast we have more blood than the hijama coming out of the body. Without a pot, and it's makruh if there is a pot. So if the person has something to fill the blood doing hijama, for example, in the masjid, it is haram to, if you don't have a pot, to do hijama inside the masjid, but it is makruh if you have a pot, so you make sure that the blood does not go and tip on the ground. It is makruh to bring najasa inside the masjid. That's why one of the things to do is actually to look at the shoes, the bottom of the shoes. If I'm carrying najasa, if I stepped on something that is najasa, then I should actually clean it before entering the masjid. It is makruh to plant a tree in the masjid, or to dig a well without a need inside the masjid. So looking at this, you can plant a tree in your own property. You can do whatever you want in your own property, but this is not anyone's own property. It is Allah's property. It is a waqf. That's why it's not allowed. It is makruh in the masjid. Arguments, we see from them a lot inside the masjid, unfortunately. Raising the voice, asking for lost thing. Have you seen my kid? Have you seen I lost my wallet? I lost this, I lost that. It is makruh. Selling or buying inside the masjid. How many times we see people unfortunately coming inside the masjid to sell or to buy. That's not allowed in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ, in narration by Abu Huraira, reported that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, if you see someone buy or sell in the masjid, then say, may Allah not make your trade profitable. So make dua on him. Why? Because the masjid is not actually for trading, for selling or buying. So we see lots of people coming with all of these perfumes, with hats, to sell inside them. It's not supposed to happen like this. If someone wants to sell something, he needs to go outside the borders of the masjid and sell or buy outside.
Just last point. We say makruh to spinning in the masjid. Is it makruh or haram in the sense like
Makruh.
sin?
It's a sin. It's a makruh. But when the Prophet ﷺ said it's a sin, he said it's khati'ah. Okay? So khati'ah is like, I did not find actually a word. So that's why I wrote down sin. But it's not something that you will, it's like a big mistake. Okay, it's a big mistake. So you are right, I need actually to correct the word sin. But yeah, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ said the kafara is to bury it or to remove it. It is makruh to raise the voice in the masjid and disturb those who pray. Sometimes we find people, for example, after the prayer they are doing some adhkar or they are reading Quran in loud voice, and some people are praying. It is makruh to disturb people who are praying. It is makruh to get to the masjid animals. So someone is bringing his cat or any of the animals inside the masjid, it is makruh. Why? Because the animals can actually poo or pee inside the masjid. We need to keep the masjid clean. Insane, someone who is crazy, he lost his mind. He doesn't know what to do. He can wet himself and then the masjid will be dirty. Or kids that are not differentiating. So kids that can actually do a mess. But if your kid is differentiating or your kid is quiet and does not make any problem, then there is no harm.
That word khatiya is guilty.
Guilt.
Guilty.
Yeah, it's guilt, correct. The Prophet ﷺ once prayed carrying Umama, the daughter of Zainab, bint Zainab. So imagine a baby, an absolute baby. The Prophet ﷺ prayed Imam carrying that baby. So that to give you that even himself allowed actually the babies or the kids to enter into the masjid and he was praying with them. It is allowed for women to pray in the masjid if there is no harm on them. So if they are protected, no harm or no danger on them, of course they can go for praying in the masjid. It is makruh to make the masjid a place for a trade. Like someone who is coming to the masjid and sewing and then selling what he's doing or she is doing, or doing any type of work inside the masjid. It should not happen. It is allowed to sleep on the back, put the leg on another, and put fingers together like this in the masjid. I was raised, my family were telling me that we are not supposed to do this, but the Prophet ﷺ in the authentic hadith did everything. He was doing like this, he slept on his back, he put leg on a leg, so there is no harm of doing any of these inside the masjid.
When praying with the baby, like, is it allowed to do this?
No, you should not. You should not move. The baby, any move is disturbing the prayer, and we are going to come to what actually can invalidate the prayer. It is mustahab to make study circles inside the masjid, so to study with all types of Quran, Sharia, Fiqh, anything. It is allowed to speak normal talks and even laughing inside the masjid, so no harm with that. It is allowed to speak poetry about Islam, the Prophet ﷺ, some good things, no problems of speaking poetry inside the masjid. It is sunnah cleaning the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ removed that himself, as was narrated in the Sahihain, Bukhari and Muslim. Aisha said he saw some sputum on the wall of the masjid and scratched it off. So the Prophet ﷺ used to clean the masjid. It is bid'ah to have special lights in specific nights in the masjids. So some people will bring some lights specifically in the night of the 15th of Sha'ban or whatever. This is bid'ah. This is not allowed in Islam. It is sunnah for whoever enters the masjid carrying sharp things to cover them. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever enters the masjid carrying an arrow, let him grab on the head of the arrow. So you can understand in the hadith that the sharp that can harm people, you need to grab it. So if you are carrying anything nowadays that can harm people, you need to actually make sure that it is safe, it will not harm people. It is sunnah for whoever is coming from travel, from outside, he was traveling and coming back to the country, to start first with the masjid. Pray 2 rak'ah sunnah and then go to the house. This is how the Prophet ﷺ used to do when he used to enter Medina. If sitting in the masjid for a valid reason, then have the intention of i'tikaf. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever does i'tikaf in a house of the houses of Allah Azza wa Jal, the amount of time required to milk a sheep, then he will get a reward like freeing a slave. And freeing a slave was actually, if other rulings in Islam, freeing a slave is very high to the extent that sometimes it's equal to fasting 1 full month or some big things like this. So the Prophet ﷺ, to milk a sheep is going to take how much? 10-15 minutes? So actually having i'tikaf inside the masjid for 15 minutes, you will get a reward as if you freed a slave. So looking at when we go to the masjid to pray normal prayer, it is sunnah actually when we enter the masjid to say, oh Allah, I intend to do i'tikaf in this masjid. Anytime we are entering the masjid, let's do that intention, so we take the reward of praying and having the i'tikaf. It is allowed to close the masjid outside the prayer times if there is a fear for stolen things, some expensive things inside the masjid, and there is no security, then it is allowed to close the masjid. But at least let's leave some outside area where people who did not pray can actually pray. It is makruh for whoever enters the masjid to sit or talk before praying 2 rak'ahs, which are the sunnah of welcoming the masjid. So, what if I entered and the fard prayer is already starting? So I join straight away the fard prayer, because the concept here is not to start anything except salah when entering the masjid. Not to talk, not to... Yes, sister.
I'm just going back to slides a bit more.
Which one? One or two?
Where you are crossing the fingers like that in the masjid. So there's a hadith that I read, I think it's Sahih Bukhari, that you know how when you're doing wudu and you're waiting for the time for prayer and you do get reward as if you are still in ibadah until the time of prayer comes. Although if you do actions that go against, like they're not the kind of action that you do in salah, like doing that or something whatever else, that you're not going to get the reward of as if you're in ibadah until, but it doesn't really do anything else.
I would like you to bring this hadith for me, because I doubt it is an authentic hadith. I haven't read in Bukhari any hadith such like that. So maybe next time bring it and we can discuss, inshallah.
What if, about the Tahiyatul Masjid? What if someone says salam to you?
Say wa alaikum assalam. The only thing is not to indulge in normal stuff before praying 2 rak'ahs when entering the masjid. It is not allowed actually to perform qada, judging inside the masjid. It should not be happening. It is makruh to build a masjid or to build on a grave a masjid. So we have a grave of someone, people build a masjid on top of that grave. The Prophet ﷺ said, may Allah fight the Jews and the Christians, they took the graves of their prophets as masjids. So they built masjid on the graves of their prophets. So the Prophet ﷺ said, may Allah fight them or may Allah curse them. It's haram to dig a grave inside the masjid. So we have a masjid, we cannot bury anyone inside the masjid. It's not allowed. It is makruh to put in the masjid what disturbs the one who prays. Like, for example, writing and decorating in the qibla of the masjid, people praying, and all of these decorations in front of them, it's disturbing them. It is makruh actually to have all of these decorations and writings that can disturb the one who prays.
Does the mobile phone and all these, enter into that?
Does the mobile phone or these enter into that? Well, if someone is going to pray and then the mobile starts ringing, he's annoying everyone.
Yes.
So he's disturbing the prayer of everyone. So it should not happen. This should not be the case. So when we enter the masjid, we should put our mobiles on silent, and that's better for us and for the people.
Would the decoration includes writing of Quranic?
Everything.
Yeah, the side of the
Everything. Everything that can disturb actually the one who prays. We will come now to this. The wall of the masjid from inside and outside belongs to the masjid. So we cannot do anything with the wall regardless if it's an inside wall or outside wall. It is sunnah to check the shoes before entering if there is any dirt in order to clean it. It is makruh to leave the masjid after adhan before praying. So adhan was raised and people now are waiting for the iqamah, someone left. Hadith narrated by Imam Muslim, Abu al-Sha'tha said, we were sitting in the mosque with Abu Huraira when the mu'adhin gave the adhan, a man stood up and walked out of the masjid, and Abu Huraira followed him with his gaze until he exited the masjid. Abu Huraira said, this man has disobeyed Abu al-Qasim. Abu al-Qasim, which is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it is makruh actually to leave the masjid after the adhan, before the iqamah, without praying. That's not a problem. Leaving meaning leaving the whole masjid. Abu Usaid reported, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when one of you enters the masjid, let him say, O Allah, open for me the doors of your mercy, and when he leaves, let him say, O Allah, I ask you for your favor. So these are what we say when we enter and when we exit. Nothing is allowed to be taken out of the masjid, even a stone. In some narrations, the stone calls the one who takes it out from the masjid, meaning that as if don't take me out of the masjid. So we cannot actually take any stone out of the masjid. Unless it's something harmful. Yeah. Uthman ibn Affan reported, the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever builds a mosque for Allah, Allah will build for him a house like it in paradise. And in another narration, the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever builds a mosque that is like, like a small mosque, like a musalla or something that he called mifhas qata. Mifhas qata, it's like a house of pigeons. Small house, masjid as small as that, Allah will build for him a house in Jannah. That's to encourage people actually build houses of Allah Azza wa Jal. A masjid can be built in the place of a church or a graveyard, so long as the graveyard will be actually settled. And the Prophet ﷺ built the part of the masjid in Medina on a graveyard for ancient people. He just settled it. Now coming to decorating the masjid. It is makruh to decorate and carve with red and yellow inside the masjid. The Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, the hour will not come until people show off in building the masjids. So this is a sign of the Day of Judgment, that people are showing off in building the masjids. Abu Hanifa, the only one who allowed decorating the masjid, so long as it's not in the front of the masjid. Meaning that people who are praying towards the qibla, the decoration is in the qibla. So Imam Abu Hanifa was the only one who allowed the decoration. The rest of the Imams, Shafi'i, Ahmad, Imam Malik, they said it's not allowed to do decorating for the masjid. The more beloved places to Allah Azza wa Jal are the masjids. And the more hated for Allah Azza wa Jal, shopping centers and shopping. That's why we should be actually fast in the shopping centers and slow down in the masjids. What do we do nowadays? We take our time in the shopping centers, and when we want to pray in the masjid, hurry up, I have lots of work to do. So we should be, subhanallah, it's the more beloved, as the Prophet ﷺ said, to Allah are the masjids. It's not haram for the women in period or nafas to stay in the Eid Musalla. If we are having Eid prayer in the Musalla in the park, it's not haram for the females to come. No, it is sunnah for the females who are in the period of nafas to come to the Musalla and attend the khutbah of the Eid. Yes?
You said that masjid can be built in the place of a church.
Yes.
And just now, before this, you mentioned there's a macro to build a grave in a masjid.
Yes.
Are they connected in a way?
No, they are not connected. Grave is something, and church, like nowadays here in Australia, we can actually, because it's easier to have a building that was registered as a place of worship, then it's just a place of worship. So if it is a church, you can buy it and just open it and write mosque, and it's straightforward. So we can buy churches and convert them into mosques. And anyone finds a church that is for sale, just let me know. We'll buy it.
I think the word is graveyard,
Graveyard.
Yeah,
which is cemetery,
cemetery.
rather than grave.
No,
Because
even if it's a grave,
before
even
that-
if it was one grave. So not just graveyard, one grave. But building above a graveyard, that's what you mean?
Exactly.
No, if you, as I said, if you remove everything, and that's an ancient graveyard, the Prophet ﷺ built on one side. So the meaning that we still have the grave inside the masjid. So meaning that I have a grave of one who is pious person, and people started just doing some crazy things and build a masjid on him so they can come and visit his grave every time they come and pray. That's not allowed in Islam.
So that's macro.
That's a makruh.
Macro or haram?
Haram.
Yes.
That's haram. We said haram, correct? Or makruh? Makruh to build on the masjid, yeah.
To build on a grave.
Yeah. And it's haram if that grave actually in the side of the qibla. If it's in the back, it's makruh. Some scholars, they
Outside.
if it's outside the building, that's not a problem. Okay. Now coming to another topic, which is public showers. I haven't seen public showers in many places, for example, but in the Middle East, they are everywhere. Yeah, everywhere. Like if you go to Turkey, for example, some people go visit Turkey for the public showers. Yeah, it is. There are in Syria, when there was Syria, there were lots of public showers. Okay? So if you go to these public showers, Abdul Hamid, you might come up white.
I think I'll stay without shower maybe for a week or something.
So the public showers actually, they are in the Middle East a lot, and they are rooms with, for example, water with temperature 20, and then you enter this water, and then a door to a water with temperature 30 or 40, then a water with temperature 50 and 60 up to 70 and 80. You will find rooms after rooms, and whenever you reach the water with 70 or 80, it's all vapor water. You cannot see anything. It's like a sauna, but it's natural sauna because that water is just natural water. So these public showers, there were rulings for them. So it is permissible for men to enter public showers so long as they cover their awra, and we know that the awra for the men is from the belly to the knee, and we are going to speak about that during Salah. So long as they cover their awrah from people and they lower their gaze from people's awrah. Because it's most likely in these showers that some mistakes will happen, so the person needs to lower his gaze or to cover his awrah. The Prophet ﷺ said, protect your awrah except from your wife or right hand. So we need to protect our awrah from everyone. So some practices, people actually change their clothing in front of each other. That's not allowed in Islam. Males to males or females to females. The Prophet ﷺ said, man should not look at a man awrah and a woman should not look at a woman awrah. Don't walk naked, and thigh is awrah. The thigh is awrah. So this is a hadith, authentic hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So meaning that even when we are speaking about, for example, a swimming pool, men are going to a swimming pool, only men. They cannot actually wear what does not cover the full awrah, which is from the belly to the knee. They cannot, they should not. You should not show your awrah to anyone. So you cannot actually change your pants except on your own, and nobody should see you. And women as well, they cannot go for swimming in a swimming pool without covering their awrah, which is from women to women, which is similar to the men on the men, which is from the belly to the knee, and it's better to actually wear a shirt that is half sleeve or short sleeve. There is no woman who removes her clothes in a place other than her husband's house, but she has removed the screen between her and her Lord. This is Sahih by Imam Al-Albani. This to encourage women actually not to take off their clothes anywhere outside the house of their husband. Someone will say, what if there is a secure house, or there is a secure, for example, a swimming pool where it's women only and they have showers, and then if it is a secure place where she guarantees that nobody is going to see her, then that should be, inshallah, okay. It is haram to shower naked between people, because people are going to see your awrah, and as we said in the hadith, protect your awrah except from your wife or your right hand. But can alone, as Musa in the authentic hadith in Bukhari showered naked alone. And this hadith in Bukhari that the Musa alayhi salam had a shower naked, but he was alone, nobody saw him. Ghusl and wudu is acceptable with the bath water as it is clean, which is the public showers. So the public showers water, you can have ghusl and wudu there. You can remember Allah Azza wa Jal in the shower. So no issues with that. Coming to Tayammum, we move fast.
What about reciting Quran in the shower?
Yeah, no problems.
Even when you're naked?
No problems. Unless you are on the state of janaba and you are having the shower in the state of janaba. Because the shower is a shower. It's not a toilet. And we need to differentiate. Sometimes, for example, nowadays, we have a shower in the corner and we have a toilet next to it. When you are in the toilet place, you treat it as a toilet. When you enter the shower area, you treat it as a shower. Okay? So you can speak while you are, for example, having a shower. But you should not speak while you are in the toilet area.
What about the toilet with the sink? When you at the sink area and you're making wudu?
Yeah, nowadays it's all in the same place. So we treat it as every spot is different than the other spot. Coming to Tayammum. Tayammum is actually wiping the face and the arms with clean soil or dirt or sand or any dust. We are going to come to that for a specific reason. Tayammum was revealed on the 6th of Hijrah when Aisha radiallahu anha lost her necklace and she stayed behind. The whole army was waiting for her and they ran out of water. Allah revealed the verse of Tayammum, and the Prophet ﷺ said, Subhanallah, Aisha, because of you, Allah Azza wa Jal has relieved the whole ummah in some of the things that might be a bit of burden. Tayammum can replace wudu and ghusl from janaba, period, or nafas. Intercourse is not allowed for the stopping of period until ghusl. So if someone was in the period, a woman was in the period, and then no water, she did tayammum for prayer, she can. But that tayammum is not sufficient for intercourse. It needs to be a ghusl for intercourse rather than only tayammum. Tayammum can allow her to pray or read Quran, but does not allow for intercourse. Once, a group that was sent by the Prophet ﷺ, one of them was had a wound in his head. He woke up with wet dream, and then he said to his friends, "What do you think?" They said to him, "We don't find a solution for you except to have a shower." It was cold. He had a shower and he died from that wound. Then they came to the Prophet ﷺ and they said to him, "What happened?" So the Prophet ﷺ said, "They killed him. May Allah kill them." Didn't they ask? So the answer of the ignorance is the ask. If they should have just made him make tayammum and put a band on his head and just wipe on that band. So that's why actually tayammum can actually replace in some cases ghusl.
What about in the case of the sick?
On the case?
In the case of the sick person, and he can't make wudu with the normal water, and tayammum is required. What is the allowed?
In the
One to
sick. We are coming to the sick. Tayammum is used for praying, fard or sunnah, for touching the Quran, for reading the Quran, for sujood al-tilawa, sujood al-shukr, sujood al-sahu, for stay at the masjid. All of this can be replaced by tayammum. Tayammum is only valid after the entrance of the prayer time. So I want to pray dhuhr, for example. I cannot do tayammum from the morning. Tayammum is the only thing that is validating only after the prayer time comes. So after the adhan of dhuhr, I can do tayammum and pray dhuhr only. Can pray sunnah as much as I can, but cannot pray fard except one fard per tayammum. Okay? Better to delay tayammum to the end of the time if there is a possibility to find the water. So if you are lost in the desert and there is a possibility that I think after 15-20 minutes I will find water, then continue. Do not do tayammum now. Do not pray now, because there is a possibility for you to find water. But if there is no possibility to find water, you don't know, just do tayammum and pray as soon as possible. With one tayammum, one can pray only one fard and as many sunnah as he wishes. Now comes, what is the reason for tayammum? When people can do tayammum? Number one, lack of enough water for wudu or ghusl. So I have water, but it's not enough. Not inside my house. I'm not speaking about house cases. Why? Because any one of us can go to any neighbor or and fill up a bucket of water. So the water is existing in the city and you can actually buy it. It's cheap. But if there is not enough water, for example, in the early ages, or you are outside in a picnic and you are very, very far from water, and there is not enough water for you to drink water only or to make ghusl or wudu, then you can do tayammum. Okay? If you find water but it's more expensive than the normal water, meaning that you are in a city, you are not able to find water, but you found water, but the water is expensive. It's more expensive than the normal rate of how much we pay for water, then you are allowed to do tayammum. In that case, inability to use water. Someone was forced, he was tied in a prison, he's fearing, he cannot actually leave his house, there is no water inside his house, he cannot leave. For example, there is a lion at the front yard of the house and he cannot actually leave the house and he ran out of water inside the house, then he can do tayammum. Sickness. Someone is sick, and if he make shower or ghusl or wudu, his sickness will not be cured or will be delayed. Even delaying of cureness is a reason for doing tayammum. That's why in the hospitals it is supposed that we have actually some facilities for tayammum, especially for example for those ladies who the doctors say to them, do not move, you need to stay like this for a certain period. You cannot do wudu for them inside you cannot take them out, they can just do tayammum and that will be sufficient for them. Fear to lose money or wealth. If you are going to go out and look for water, you are in a camp, you want to look for water and you are scared that people can steal your money, you can do tayammum. Cold weather or cold water and you are fearing that you might actually get sick. You say, oh my God, if I take wudu in this water, in this weather, or if I take shower in this water, in this weather, I'm going to get sick. Then fearing on yourself, you can do tayammum. In authentic hadith, the Prophet ﷺ sent a group. One of the leader actually woke up with a wet dream and it was cold. So he said to his companions, what do you think am I doing? They said to him, you have to do shower. He said, no, I don't see myself having shower. He did tayammum and prayed Fajr Imam and they followed him, they prayed behind him. So they listened to him actually. And then when they went back to the Prophet ﷺ, they explained to him what happened. So the Prophet ﷺ asked him, why did you do that? So he said, I heard Allah saying, do not put yourselves in tahluka. Do not throw yourselves in tahluka, meaning that you are going to finish yourself or harm yourself. So he said, then I did tayammum. So the Prophet ﷺ laughed from him, meaning that he approved that. Missing the barrel at a well. So you found a well of water and there is no barrel actually to take the water out from the well. And you cannot find anything to get the water out of the well. So you can do tayammum even though the water is next to you. Fear from missing a prayer. You are in a place, going out, you cannot find a place, you stopped by a petrol station, you are not able to find water to pray because it's around to finish the prayer time. You just do tayammum and pray so you do not lose your prayer. The scholar said it's allowed to do that.
Yeah, just a point on the barrel. As he said, if there's no, you have nothing to take water. Even if you take wudu and the water drops off you, we talked about it, that water.
No, that's not a well. Here we are saying the water is far. You cannot reach the water. If the water you can reach it, no problems with that. Which is need for water now or in the future, meaning that you have only specific amount of water and you know that water is going to be sufficient for you only for drinking for the next 2 days, and you don't guarantee you will get water for wudu. So you don't use that water to make wudu. You do tayammum and use that water for drinking, which is more important. Okay?
About in an aeroplane.
In the aeroplane. In the aeroplane we have plenty of water. So we can do wudu. Simple. And in the aeroplane there is nothing to use for tayammum anyway. For tayammum you need just natural things. There is nothing natural in the aeroplane. I need to go. The pillars of tayammum, we have to have intention. We hit in 2 narrations. Either once, we hit one, and then wipe fully the face. We hit second, wipe fully the arms to the elbows. And that's tayammum. I don't want to say to you, one of my relatives, we were somewhere and I said to them, we are going to do tayammum because we don't guarantee that we'll have enough water for drinking and the way is long. So my relative came to the dirt and started doing this and took the dirt and just took it. I said, what are you doing? He said, doing tayammum with the dirt. I said, not like this, it's simple. You just One hit, remove the dirt if there is, and then wipe your face. One hit, and do wiping the whole hand with the between the fingers and the second hand, and that's all about it. There is nothing, as the Prophet ﷺ said, one hit for the face, one hit for the arms, and that's it. So that's tayammum. If there is a ring, you are required to remove the ring, because the sand or the dust is not going to come. You have to add the order, so face first, then arms, and the continuity. Don't leave time. It has to be a clean soil or sand or dirt or a stone. For example, you have a stone that is natural stone. You can actually hit on the stone, do your face, hit on the stone, and do the arms. You cannot use the bricks, the red bricks. Anything that went into fire, you cannot use it for tayammum. You cannot use this wall, which is made of gyprock. Gyprock originally is a natural thing, but they have put it inside the oven to make it actually gyp. So you cannot use wood or plants. You cannot, for example, someone will say, I have a ring out of malachite or ruby, or this is a natural stone. Can I do tayammum on that because it's natural? If it's in its place, in its location, you can. But if it's been taken, like gold is a natural thing. Someone will say, I have a necklace, a braces, or something. No, you cannot. If it is in a nature, then you can use it for. You can actually do on the natural ice, tayammum. You know, in the poles, they have the ice covering everywhere. There is no place where they can find actually a rock or a natural thing. They can do tayammum on the ice. Okay? So when you go there, Abdul Hamid, you can do tayammum on the ice.
Next trip.
What invalidates tayammum? Whatever invalidates wudu invalidates tayammum. So all the things that we spoke about, disappearance of reasons like you were scared, there was an animal outside, you cannot leave the house, you did tayammum inside, but now the animal disappeared. So that invalidates tayammum. You can go out and get wudu. Finding the water, if you found the water, tayammum is invalid. Ending of prayer time, we said that we do tayammum for dhuhr. Dhuhr time ended, Asr time came, that invalidates. We need a new tayammum. Convert from Islam. Someone converted from Islam and then came back to Islam and he did not find water, that invalidates tayammum. Sorry, someone left Islam and he was on tayammum state, then that invalidates his tayammum. Anyway, he left Islam. Everything is being invalidated. But look how the scholars did not leave anything except discussed. Long separation between tayammum and prayer. Someone had tayammum at 9 a.m. and then he wants to pray dhuhr at 3 p.m. That's a long separation. It should not be.
Question. So you on tayammum and then you salat zuhur, and then you finish your salat with tayammum. Then maybe just 5 minutes later, the water becomes available. So what do you do?
There are two opinions for the scholars here. I did not want to go into these details, but for you, you don't need to repeat the prayer. You already, so long as the person actually looks for the water, the scholars spoke lots of details. How many steps to walk in order to be considered that you looked for the water, what to do. What I take for myself is if I'm an open area and I want to look for water, I will try to find a high area, I will step on it, I will look 360 degrees. If I don't find any place, any person or any water, then I will consider there is no water, so I will do tayammum. After that, if you found the water, your prayer is valid, you don't need to repeat it. There are other questions as well. For example, someone is praying, while he is praying, someone with water came to him. Whether his prayer is valid or not, does he need to break his prayer or not? Scholars went into more details. I don't want to disturb with all of this, but whatever you start praying, finish praying. Okay?
My question is just you mentioned about one part of the prayer only.
Yeah.
Now you are in a journey and you combine the prayer.
So you pray the two in the same time.
Yeah, you pray the two in the same
Yeah, you are
time.
praying Dhuhr and Asr in
Yeah.
the time of Dhuhr joining one Tayammum.
So one time there.
All right.
So although it's two prayers.
Someone who already don't have water and don't have sand or soil or anything to do Tayammum. So that's something called Faqid al-Sabilain. He cannot find anything. No water, no dirt, nothing. What should he do? The scholars, they said he needs to pray. Whatever he prays without anything, without like someone is locked. Like sometimes in the early ages, the Muslims will be locked like this for 2, 3 months, 6 months, locked like this. He cannot do anything. He needs to pray. He has to pray. But he needs to repeat his prayers after he finds a solution. He finds water and he's able to pray. But he has to pray every fard. So that's about it. Next week we will start some things about details about the period, the nafas and the istihada, and this is mostly directed towards women, but the men should know as well about this to understand the situation of their wives. Inshallah, I will bring my wife with me to explain for whoever wants more explanation. Okay, so what if the husband penny touches the wife's private part with desire, but the tip does not enter? Does the woman still need to make ghusl? The Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the head of the private part of the man needs to disappear for it to be considered as a ghusl. So the head of the private part needs to disappear before it requires ghusl. Is it taking bath the janazah, the dead, only requires ghusl, or even just touching it too? It is sunnah at the end of the day. Majority said it's sunnah, some said it's wajib and it's required for them, as we mentioned, and we are taking that. Whoever is involved in doing the shower for the dead body, let him do the ghusl after. But we are speaking about the dead body here. When we said that ghusl is required, we said for the dead body himself, not the person who is doing the washing. The person who is doing washing, it's sunnah for him. The dead body, it is obligation for him to be washed, to be showered. If a person in janaba cannot recite the Quran, what about the hafizah who has to memorize the ayah when they are in their period? Then don't move your tongue, try to move your head only. See in your eyes and move in your head only. Is menses janaba? Yes. And if yes, can one recite morning adhkar and evening adhkar as Quran is involved? When you come to a Quran, do not. Just make it on your head. When you come to the adhkar, like asbahna wa asbah al-mulku lillah walhamdulillah, you can speak as you want.
What about the dua that is from the Quran? Is that fine if it's not?
If you are intending them as a dua, it's okay. If you are intending them to recite a verse of the Quran, it's not okay. Is it acceptable for menstruating sisters to sit and listen to Friday khutbah in the hall, Al-Khalil, or in the library, city masjid, without entering the actual masjid? Yes. Makruh to bring an insane person to the masjid, which includes a child, to come for prayer, who is not obligated to pray anyway. So it's makruh to bring an insane. The child, as we said, the Prophet ﷺ used to bring with him children to the masjid. Even he used to, in some narrations, to put a date batch. Whoever from the kids wants to pray in the masjid, to encourage them, will take a date. But if the child is actually disturbing people and is not quiet and silent, no, it's not. It's makruh to bring the child. If the child actually can pee on himself and can dirt the carpet in the masjid, no, he should not be brought to the masjid. Do you need wudu for sajdat al-shukr? Yes, you need. What is the awra of the woman? The awra of the woman on the woman is from the belly to the knee.
Women to women.
I'm saying the awra from the woman to the woman, from the belly to the knee. And the scholars, they said, should not be coming out without what is being normal in her house. So usually the woman in her house, she wears a short sleeve, for example, a short skirt to the knee. That should be how the woman is going to be exposing herself to the other woman. If the other woman is not actually a trusted woman, meaning that you don't trust that woman can explain your beauty to someone else, then you have to wear full awra, cover your body fully. Meaning that the awra for the woman on the man, which is all of her body except her face and her hands, will be awra on the actual woman, which is not trusted woman. So if you don't trust that the woman, nowadays we have mobile phones. If the woman does not trust another woman can take a photo of her while she is, for example, removing her scarf, she should not remove her scarf. Yes, sister? That's another story. The scholars mentioned for non-Muslims it should be complete. But if you trust that she is not going to explain you, like I would say to you, for example, sometimes the non-Muslim women, they are amazed with the skin of the Muslim women, because the Muslim women are always covered. Their arms are covered, their legs are covered, so their skin are kept actually healthy. So what happens is that when they see the skin of the Muslim woman, they will say, wow, what a beautiful skin. She will go back, I have seen a lady today, her skin is like this, her blah blah. She will start explaining actually. That's where the thing becomes a bit tricky. In general, let's trust. But if we know that they are explaining about you to others, then you should stop actually, and you should wear on the non-Muslim women like what you wear on the women, in the men. If tayammum can be done only for one fard salah, what about qada salah? You can pray qada salah, it's for one salah time. So from the adhan dhuhr to adhan asr, one tayammum. So if you had to pray qada inside there, you can pray. If you had to join prayers inside there, you can pray with one tayammum. What about combined prayer for travelers and tayammum? As we said, do you have to do tayammum for each prayer? No, you can join in one tayammum. Can you do tayammum on a wall which has dust? Now, there are some walls which are the ancient walls, like some historical walls. Like if you go to the city masjid, you find the cement and then actual rocks. This actual rock you can do tayammum on, but you cannot do on the cement, because the cement is something that is being manufactured. It's being put in the oven. So any like these walls that they do for whatever, they are beautiful between the farms or they are rocks. You can use the rock in that wall. If your house is built of red bricks, you cannot. If your house is built from actual rocks, sometimes like my house, it's very old house and they brought actual rocks, they cut them into pieces and they put them. You can do tayammum on these because they are natural. Okay? Do you need to face Qibla for Sajdat al-Shukr? Yes, you do. Can a woman on her menstrual cycle and is a teacher teach the student Quran for children? Yes, you can. Okay?
Because it will be worse if the student, the pupil will ask it, why are we not studying today?
Yeah.
And there will be too many questions.
Yes. Okay. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.